I'll start watching that chat as well.
We'll be going to YouTube. You can start, Mike. It's in YouTube.
Okay, great. Yep, I've got it right there. Better turn on the volume. Okay, good evening. The time is now 6:31. I'm Chairman M.Currie, and I'd like to call the Select Board Business Meeting to order on this 23rd day of November, 2020. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty
and justice
for all.
Great, thank you, everyone. Okay, before we begin, I'd like to state for the record that not only are we being streamed live on both TCTV Cable Station 8 and our YouTube web platform, this evening's recording will be available for later viewing on YouTube. Just going to do a quick roll call. I see that we have a quorum. Tim, good evening. Jeff, good evening. Terry, good evening. We've got our quorum. And also with us tonight, we have Holly Young, Bob Sozik, Adam Lamont-Payne, Jackie Prime, TCTV crew, and I think Sheila Pelletier will be joining us a little bit later as well. As always, our agenda for this evening has been set no later than 48 hours out by law and is publicly available at the official source for town information, TempletonMA.gov. Although I have the discretion as chairperson to add and remove from the agenda, it has been set to allow for time, personnel resources, and public awareness. We do have a pretty full agenda this evening. I do reserve the right to move agenda items around to best fit our business and guests. Thank you. Public participation and comment is still possible via the chat section of the live stream on YouTube. I say again, that's the live stream on YouTube. I and TCTV are monitoring the chat session and will address comments and questions as they appear or when appropriate. Remember, this chat area is part of the permanent record, so if it's not already apparent, please make sure that we know what your name is if you would like your comment to be addressed. And the live chat is about 10 to 15 seconds behind the live meeting, so I'll try and be cognizant of that. Okay, we are on Zoom, as we have been for many months now. Please use video when possible. If you don't have any business directly in front of the board, you don't have to have your video on. That way you can wait until it's your turn. Also, if there's too much, if you're moving around or otherwise, TCTV, because it is being live streamed, may stop your video and wait until the video actually settles down if you're moving around too much. If you wish to speak, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom or politely cut in to be recognized. If you have materials that you want shared in the screen, like this evening, Adam Lamont-Payne will want to see some video of Scout Hall. Please make the request to the chair and we can share the document or any other kind of resource that we may feel is beneficial to our business at hand. Viewers of the live stream may ask questions that may be acknowledged by the chair or any other member that may be monitoring the YouTube live stream chat area. All right, excellent. All right, let's jump into our agenda. First item up this evening is public comment. Do we have any public comment? At this point, the last couple of sessions I had usually had a list of things that were going on in town that we wanted to make sure. I think I had mentioned Jeff, when he was the chair years ago, used to do that. Any things that might be interesting or noteworthy within the community. Terry, the community Christmas. Do you have the details on the
Country Roads Christmas is ongoing through, I believe, December 16th. You just stop into Valley Florist or Place and Time. Those are a few. I don't have it in front of me. And you pick up, they have all the businesses that are involved. They have your registration and your card that you stamp. It's not a one-day affair as in the past. It's you go to each one at your, you've got to call ahead and see if they're open. So each store, each establishment has their hours. Crows on the Common, and it's part of it. So you could just certainly stop in there and pick up a registration. You get a stamper, and then you're eligible. The prizes are hefty this year. I think it's like $50 gift certificate to each participating store is the first place prize. And then 14 separate prizes of $50 to the individual stores. So there's a lot of big drawings once you get your card stamped. You don't have to go to all the stores to enter. You just, for the grand prize you do, but for the other, you just go to the stores that you want and leave your card wherever.
That's fantastic. You said you didn't have the information in front of you, but I think you gave a complete rundown. So thank you for that. I had not participated in that before, so I'm definitely looking forward to doing it this year. Pretty excited.
Fun. And the Christmas trees are on the Common.
Excellent. Say that again?
The Christmas trees are on the Common for the Lions Club.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I have not gone up that direction in the last day or two, but that's great. That's good to hear. That's where we get our Christmas tree. So thank you for mentioning that. Christmas trees are on the Common.
And
go ahead.
Well, just on a little somber note, we lost Russ Tainter last week. He was a member of the CERT team, and his funeral was today. His wife, Joy, is on the rec board for years, was responsible for setting up the swimming program, and she's on CPC. Just a dear soul that had a heart for the community. And
I'm sorry to hear that. Would you like to lead us in a moment of silence?
Sure. For Russ Tainter.
Thank you, Terry. Pretty important. I'm glad that you had mentioned that. I kind of, want to bring it back so everyone's smiling, but I wanted to give you a quick COVID update. I know that an update was sent to the website today. Our current active cases in town are 24. I do believe, based on Massachusetts's rules for what constitutes a red, green, or yellow community, or gray, none at all, is for towns with under 10,000 residents, 25 and over makes you red. So I think that we have come back from being a red community. Now we are in the yellow. So folks, we got to stay the course. We got to, continue to wear masks. We got to continue to adhere to all of the governor's executive orders, wash hands, the whole 9 yards. I think we're up to three pharmaceutical companies have successful vaccine trials. Can't remember, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and can't remember the name of the other one.
Moderna's the big.
Moderna.
The first. They're the groundbreakers. They're 94.5% effective, but the problem with theirs is it has to be minus like 70 degrees.
Oh yeah, right. So distribution problems, but I know they got a 4-star Army general working those issues. But folks, that's the finish line for being able to try and get back to any sense of normalcy. Is just stay tuned to, they call it prophylaxis, big fancy word for mass protection, making sure that everyone gets their shot. So just stay tuned for, watch your favorite news channels for how that progresses. We're still in public comment right now. Anyone else have any other news within the community? I'll mention that Orchard Lane was finished. If you haven't driven by Orchard Lane, Bob, it looks great. I know you didn't do it, but you definitely helped us get across the finish line. So looks really good down there. In all the other projects, every week I see where there was a hole, there is no longer a hole. So I know you're pretty busy out there making sure that the roads are maintained. So thank you for that.
I paid special attention to the guardrails today. Nice job.
Great. Okay, if there's nothing else for public comment, we're going to move into a couple of housekeeping items. We have some meeting minutes for the 28th of October and the 9th of November. So if there are any observations or any requests for not clarification, but corrections, we can make that along with the motion, or we can delay them if there's a significant item that needs to be changed within. Other than that, I'll entertain a motion to add the minutes for October 28th and November 9th.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Okay.
I have a motion and a second. Thank you, Tim. Any further discussion on the meeting minutes for October 28th or November 9th? Those are in the packet. Okay, hearing none on the motion to approve the meeting minutes for the select board for the meeting of October 28th and November 9th. How do you vote, Tim?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you. Yeah, we have no executive session minutes. All right, we're going to jump into new business. Adam, are there any introductions of new employees for this evening?
I do not have any for this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. And I see that we have a request for an appointment to the final at-large position for capital planning. Is that correct?
We do have an appointment in front of the board for this evening for the at-large position. That is correct.
Okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yep, please.
Maybe my brain skipped a beat, but did we do the minutes of November 9th?
We did.
There's two sets of minutes.
Yep. When I asked for a motion, I included October 28th and
Okay.
November 9th.
I just had a brainwave.
Nope, that's all right. All right. For the appointment to Capital Planning Committee, I did have a question, Adam. I tried to send over to Holly and Carol just to make sure that they're I didn't know if Scott was on any other board that would prevent his participation in the Capital Planning Committee.
I asked that same thing.
I know he's no longer on the Rec Committee.
He actually is on the
Oh,
Recreation.
he's not the chair. He's not the chair, right?
And he's also on the Cemetery and Parks or Cemetery Commission as well. I do, I mean, if he does get appointed by this board, he would have to recuse himself from anything pertaining to Recreation and the Cemetery and Parks Commission. That would be my concern.
I just want to make sure that I was going through the bylaws for the boards and committees, and some boards and committees have a restriction on how many boards and committees that you can serve on. I just want to make sure that we're not going over a cap for how many he can serve on, or that he has one that's written in that where he cannot participate in one if he is on the other. I know the select board has some items like that.
Well, and I know the advisory committee, they can't be on any others, but to the best of my recollection, I don't believe there's anything forbidding him from being on the Capitol. But
Okay.
outside of that, I already pointed out some of the concerns I have, but as long as he recuses himself from
Yeah.
those.
Scott's been on on the, he's definitely not a spring chicken when it comes to boards and committees. So I'm very confident that he is cognizant of recusal situations. I just want to make sure that if any of the board members had any questions, like Terry and I had, to make sure that there wasn't anything preventing him, that was that we did our due diligence and checked that. But other than that, I'm very happy that we're considering appointing him to the capital planning committee tonight.
Me too. It's nice to share the pain.
I know that Scott's not on this evening. It's not like we needed an introduction or otherwise. I'm glad that we're filling that vacant position. So we can still have some discussion, but I move to appoint Scott Dill to the Capital Planning Committee for a term expiring on June 30th, 2021.
So moved.
You need a second?
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Terry and Tim. Any further discussion or questions on Scott Dill helping out with capital planning? Okay. Hearing no further discussion on the motion to appoint Scott Dill to the Capital Planning Committee for a term going to 2021, June 30th. How do you vote, Tim?
Yes.
Jeff?
No.
Terry?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Okay, that was a 3 yeses, 1 no, Polly. And congrats, Scott, if you're watching the live chat. You're on the capital planning now. Okay, next item is action relating to a designation of a records access officer, or RAO. Mr. Lamontagne, can you brief us on that?
This is simple, Mr. Chairman. The town needs to have our records access officer, and I believe this could be running concurrently with my contract, and I could take care of those moving forward.
Who was the previous RAO?
Mr. Terenzini was.
Okay. So this is just a matter of making sure that we have the correct appointments once we've switched over from town administrator to town administrator. Okay. Does anyone have any questions on what a records access officer sounds? Absolutely riveting. Anyone have any questions? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to designate Adam as the records access officer. Okay, I move pursuant to our authority per the 950 code CMR 34.042, I move to designate Town Administrator Adam Lamontagne as the records access officer with all the powers and duties incident to such office to run concurrently with his contract as Town Administrator from November 1st, 2020, just so retroactively, through October 31st of 2023.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, hearing no further discussion or questions on the motion to designate Adam Lamontagne the records access officer, expiring at the end of his contract at October 31st, 2023. How do you vote, Tim?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Get to work, Adam.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on our new business agenda is action relating to the formal name change from 4 Elm to River's Edge Conservation Area.
We discussed this in the
Yeah, were you
workshop.
hoping to have Sheila on tonight for that?
I don't think that's necessary. I mean, the conservation committee has recommended the change, as well as the CPC. I think it's more, we discussed this at our workshop. I think once we formally adopt this, we could just reflect that in the BVA and all the other mention.
So it's on the select board to do this. We basically move on a recommendation.
You're moving on the recommendation of the CPC and the conservation
Got it.
board commission.
Okay, and they voted to do that. All right. All right, then I would move to concur with the Community Preservation Committee and approve the formal name change for the property located at and known as 4 Elm Street to the new name of Rivers Edge Conservation Area.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? I know that we've had this as agenda items before. We've been briefed on the survey. Holly, how many did we have total? Was it 30 or 80?
I believe it was closer to 80.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, any further discussion? Okay, on the motion to approve, to concur with the CPC and approve the formal name change for the property located at and known as 4 Elm to the new name of Rivers Edge Conservation Area. How do you vote? Tim?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Excellent. All right. Next one, big one for this time of year, and I will do a screen share. This is action relating to the annual license renewals for liquor, common victualler, live entertainment, automatic amusement, Class 2 and Class 3 auto licenses. I'm kind of thinking back when Diane Haley and I were trying to determine the correct way to say victualler. You look it up, I don't know, Google tells you to say it a certain way.
Nice.
All right, so I'm gonna share the screen.
Do we need to disclude any of them because of the circumstances?
Right. Yep, that's a next.
Or do we approve them and then they're being held over? They're being held. Is it being held?
I talked to the ABCC this morning about that, and it should be approved and then it'll be held as needed.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. So for the public's information, that's releasable, correct, Holly? I mean, we can discuss that.
Yes.
Okay, so Thirsty Turtle had some COVID-19 executive order violations. The ABCC had held a hearing back in October and voted to indefinitely suspend the license for the Thirsty Turtle. And it was contingent on the Thirsty Turtle, AKA Trestle Bridge, coming up with it's basically just called a COVID plan. They have to basically certify back that that they will amend all of the deficiencies that they had related to the three separate violations of the governor's COVID executive orders. But I agree that we should include their license within our vote this evening, and it would just be held based on the based on the direction of the ABCC, the Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission.
It's held by Chief Bennett for clarity.
Okay, so we've got our liquor licenses this evening. You see on your screen. You have our common victualler licenses. That's food. Our Class 2 auto licenses. There's the list there. Automatic amusement licenses, video games, that sort of thing. I believe, Polly, this is a kind of a put you on the spot question. Does that also automatic amusement? Is that like scratch ticket machines as well?
No,
Just
those would
pinball?
be by the state. Those are licensed
Okay.
by the state.
Okay,
This is pool tables and pinball and things like that.
got it. And then lastly, we have our Class 2 auto licenses, Class 3, sorry, and then our live entertainment licenses. And you can see the list there. By the way, a quick plug for TCTV. Recently did a video on all the places you can get takeout in the area. Nicely done.
Didn't we waive all the fees this year because of COVID?
We did not.
We didn't waive the fees?
No, we gave it. There was. That's an excellent question, Polly. Can you relay to Terry what we did do?
Yeah, we voted to reduce the alcohol license renewals by 25%, which was basically signifying or totaling the 3 months that COVID hit and they really were not able to operate fully.
Do I need to wait for discussion to see what we can do to help them at this juncture?
I wouldn't suggest that, Terry, only because that's why I brought it to the board earlier. So when I sent it out, I could let them know how much they owed. And at this point, everyone's already paid. It's already been deposited. The treasurer has it. It's in the bank. And it would just be a lot to try to amend that at this point.
Okay.
Okay, this is a this is a one motion for all of those licenses. And if you didn't remember last year, we will bring your best pen down to town hall, because it'll be a signing party with all of the signatures required on the license. We still have a chance to talk through these, but I will entertain a motion to approve the licenses as presented on the screen.
So moved.
Okay. And just for clarification, that's a motion to approve the license renewals, liquor, common victualler, auto amusement, live entertainment, Class 2 and 3 auto, pending all fees, taxes are paid to date, and all required inspections are complete as follows. And that was the list that we saw on the screen. Understanding that ABCC may hold licenses for other violations. Could we have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much, Tim. Any further discussion? Anyone need? Well, everyone has the list in their packet.
Just that I know that advisory committee was hoping we could have done something more this year. So I had watched, and Tony DeJoy did mention that. So
Yep.
thanks, Tony. And
I think when we I know we can look. We'll talk a little bit about revenues a little bit later in this meeting, but I don't think that the fees amounted. We had already reduced them, so it was really kind of like a lower number. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, on the motion to approve the license renewals for 2021, pending all fees, taxes are paid to date, and all required inspections are complete, how do you vote? Tim?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you, team. Okay, next item. I've brought this item. This is action relating to, and I'm going to say it exactly as it's on the agenda, veterans parking spot designation. So definitely went through some a lot of thought over the last couple of days based on once the agenda was posted, generated some at least one email and what I understand is a healthy online discussion about it. So I do not want to take up the board's time on this, but I do want to explain what I had thought. So back in 2014, Templeton became a Purple Heart community based on the efforts of our then Veteran Services Officer, John Kaplis, who also happens to be a Purple Heart recipient. He was successful. The national chapter came down. They had a ceremony. You can definitely tell that we're a Purple Heart community because in any of the 5 major arteries into the community, on the Welcome to Templeton sign, you'll notice a Purple Heart community sign. About a year later, almost 5 years ago to the month, 2015, John Kaplis is still the Veteran Services Officer. He doesn't become a select board member until 2016. Organized 2 parking spots, one at Town Hall and one at the Narragansett School campus. So in 2015, we had a ceremony. I was there. I was still in active duty in uniform. Charlene Sergeant Van Cott was also there. I believe that she is also a Purple Heart recipient, or at least combat wounded. You can still find the article in the Gardner News with a picture of us all standing next to it. So that Purple Heart parking spot says combat wounded parking was placed there. There was not, I don't think there was any opposition to installing it. Funny enough that there's not actually a state or a mass general law that supports a Purple Heart parking lot, but rather state law supports a veteran parking spot. As one of our community members said, a municipality may choose to add the parking spot. So I can tell you, from 2015 on, I've done at least 3 positions within the community, veteran services or veteran oversight board. I was the chair for many years and was on the advisory for a year, and now as a select board member. I can tell you every time I've come to Town Hall, I've never seen the Purple Heart parking spot that's right next to the handicap parking spots. I've never seen it used. So I thought, why don't we expand the use of this parking space that's authorized by Mass General Law for all veterans? And respectfully, we would place a Veterans Reserve sign, not veteran parking only, a Veterans Reserve sign underneath the parking, the Purple Heart spot on the sign. Not taking away from it, but expanding the use for all veterans in town. And really not pay attention to the part of the general law where we would ask for fines if someone was found to be parking and they weren't a veteran. We're not interested in that. We're interested in expanding and really saying thank you to the veterans community. Really, that's it. It would be cheap to do. Veteran Officer Sheila Pelletier was in favor of it. She talked to many of the stakeholders, the Disabled American Veterans, the DAV. She talked to the American Legion post in town 373. No one had an issue with it. And most of all, with the person who actually put it there, John Kaplis, did not have a problem adding a sign underneath it to expand the use of this space. And by the way, I will tell you, John Kaplis is a recipient. And I still remember the phone call that I got at Fort Bragg. It was pulled aside because the Sergeant Major of the Infantry Regiment knew that he and I went way back, and the feeling of being told that he was injured in Iraq. So I tell that story because I understand exactly where what that space should be used for and the precedence for it. This is not a slight to the Purple Heart community in town, as small and low density as it is. I'd rather be all inclusive, but still absolutely revere our Purple Heart recipients within the town. All right, just one more thing. Before we open it up for additional discussion for the rest of the board, or even a desire to push it to workshop, I will say that it was mentioned that this could be self-serving. I was a little bit shocked. I understand the concept of being self-serving. I get that because I am a veteran. But I will tell you that, you know, in all of these volunteer positions within town, in 26 years in uniform, enlisted in officer, 3 continents, Bronze Star, Legion of Merit, I never thought in any of that time that I was doing all that so I could get a parking space. Never occurred to me. You know, if I have to say in public that I will never park in that spot because I want to reserve it for my fellow veterans and Purple Heart recipients, I can do that. It's not about me. It's about the veterans and using a space that's already designated for a very specific and low density veteran list, and expand it out to say we would like all veterans to be able to use that space. I've said way too much. That's what I'm hoping to do. And the Veteran Services Officer would wind up bringing this to bear if we agree to endorse that idea. That is all I have.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Jeff.
All right. As you mentioned, the Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 22A and 3/4 does say that we may designate a parking space at Town Hall or City Hall for a veteran. According to the law, it's in a motor vehicle that is owned and operated by the veteran and displays a veteran registration plate. So, and I know you said you're not out to get fines or anything like that, but it's the same as I take that the same as parking in a handicap spot. The only way that you can honestly know without bugging every person who parks in that spot is to have a veteran's plate if you're going to go by the law. Those plates cost $100 to get in Massachusetts because we care about the veterans. So every 2 years when you re-register your car and you want to keep that plate, you got to pay extra for that plate. The flip side of this is that's something that we may do. The handicap spots is something that we have to do. According to Code of Mass Regulations 521-23, we are mandated to we have 42 parking spots at Town Hall. I counted them Sunday. I measured the height of the handicap signs. According to the Architectural Access Board, which is the place you go if you have a complaint or an issue with handicap parking, you know, whether the signs are not permanently mounted in the ground, they're at the wrong height. According to them, the bottom of the sign can be no less than 5 feet above the ground, and the top of the sign should be no more than 8 feet. Our signs are at 107 inches. That's almost 9 feet. It also gives, we are supposed to have at least one van accessible space with a sign that says van accessible. We don't have that. The spots are supposed to be at least 8 feet in width. One is 10 feet between the lines. The other one, which is right next to the curb and the grass, that one is 93 inches wide, so it's short. Plus, if the passenger is the handicapped person and you pull into that spot, there's no crosshatch area, there's no access area for them to get out. And as well as that same space, there's a new town drop box It's put on a cement pad. The opening for that box faces that parking spot. If you pull into that parking spot, you're handicapped, you want to put something in that box, you need to put something in that box, such as right now, how do you get to it? The box is facing toward the parking spot. So we have some things that we should need to deal with first, because that's the law says that we must do. The veterans parking spot is something that we may do. And again, you're supposed to have a license plate that says veteran on it to park in those spots. I know that they have one up off topic out of town, but up in Ringe, New Hampshire Tractor Supply, they have 2 spots that say veterans active duty. I've seen people park there. They don't have plates or anything, and I don't know what the law is in New Hampshire, but I haven't seen anyone get, questioned or anything. However, my thing is, this is a may do, but we have some situation parking down there that we must address to be within the law. And I think we should address those, now. I think that one handicap spot, it needs to be moved so it will have the 5-foot minimum access for the passenger.
I couldn't agree with you more, Jeff.
That would be that spot right next to the grass. That's the narrow one, and that one. So the veterans thing.
I mean, we have Bob Sozik on. What would it take? What would it take, resource and time wise, to be able to make the changes as you're describing it? Because you're coming right out of the regulation, correct?
Yes, it's online. Anyone can find out, can see it. X amount of parking spots, you have to have 1 space. X amount that you get 2. We have 42, so we're in the 2-space requirement, and 1 minimum van spot.
Yep.
It's and that's there's a phone number you call. I did it once regarding the school, and they take it pretty seriously. They get right on it.
Yeah. So, as the entire board is aware, Mr. Bob May had sent an email taking issue with both the veteran part of it, which I've already addressed, and then the other side, which I absolutely agreed with him and you, to make sure that if we have a community that's being underserved in our community, whether it's by regulation or not, or even adding it because we have a proportionately higher handicap licensed drivers, then we should address that. I absolutely believe that. Bob, do you have any thoughts on parking spots or doing some work?
Yeah, the spots that are there have been there existing for a while before my time. I knew that things weren't just right around that area. I want to replace the signs, like Jeff said, 5 feet to the bottom of the handicap sign. There's some other areas in town we need to change as well. My thoughts, facing the sidewalk, that little pad with the checker on it, the parking spot to the right of that, I would probably consider like a drop off, and then move all the handicaps to the left side of that chevron. You're going to lose probably another parking spot. So you make a couple handicaps over there with a passenger accessible on the right side as well.
So what would this, Bob, what would this slot?
Just a quick drop off if you were going to use a boxer. And
okay.
Right now at this COVID time,
yeah,
because it's not really
I love that idea.
Full-size parking spot. So if you're just running in quick or somebody dropping something off, meeting somebody at the door, short term.
Yep. And then this spot right here, which is currently the Purple Heart spot, that would become
I would shift that down so your for two handicaps will be closer to that chevron.
Got it.
Is it possible to do it all at the same time?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's I like to get the signage. I do have the correct posts. If you look through town, you'll see 12-foot posts. It's nothing to the mass DOT standards, but we're working on it. And repaint the lines, the hardest parts, blocking them out and shifting the stuff over. Obviously, this isn't a great time of the year to be painting lines.
Right. I mean, I can't say it enough. I'm all for coming into compliance or improving the handicap access that we have for at least town hall. And I think that's another good point, Bob, that any other places where we need to relook at it. Resource-wise, is that an easy thing to do, or is that a significant?
The most expensive thing is going to be updating the signs.
Okay.
The rest we can do in-house.
Yep.
And I could also add, we should be getting our ADA report out sometime. I'm looking at mid-December. And that the board will have to go through that and look at all.
Generated by us, Adam, or is that an external report?
It's an external report that will be coming in with the professionals that looked at our buildings, and Bob was with them. He knows some areas that they've already been looking at. Some things are minor that can be corrected, and there's others that aren't so minor. So it's just a matter of keeping track of them. And I just wanted to add that to this discussion as we proceed, because the thing is with these reports, it gives us a little bit more time to get into compliance. And I know Bob's been working on certain things and going over certain plans himself, and we're doing what we can and within the resources we have.
So I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm just going to have at it. I haven't written anything down, but I'm telling you right now, my heart is beating really fast, and I'm deeply disturbed with the nature of the thread of the emails that we received. And I'm sorry, Michael. I respect and appreciate your service to this country and to Mr. Kaplis, that the language in those emails and the way they were sent out. Again, I'm sorry. I don't think that I think it could have been handled a little better. I don't know what else to say, but I was, even considering, I considered my own language, thinking, well, how do I treat people, and especially people in authority. And, I even had to think of myself in my own house, like, how do I treat my husband? And, try to be a better person. I understand that people have great points of view. Mr. May is very smart and has a lot to offer our town, but sometimes the way things have been phrased or go about it are very disturbing. So, I absolutely, Carrie,
I feel your emotion. You and I spoke yesterday about it. It's concerning that, it was 3 or 4 words on the agenda, and I wanted some patience within the community. If we have something on the agenda, you can't automatically, it's interesting to say it like this, because this agenda packet was, normally our proposed motions are not within the agenda packet that are online. So even if you looked at the agenda sheet that starts this, even if you went a little bit further and read the proposed motion, you would at least understand that I wasn't trying to make another space. I was trying to better serve our community. And as much as my word counts, I was not the first person I thought of. I'll tell you, the first person I thought of was John Kaplis, because he quite literally put his heart and soul into making this community a Purple Purple Heart community and designating that spot. He took a lot of pride in that. And I did talk with him. And we, it was, I got probably about as teary as you were, because it took me back to that time in 2003 when I found out that he had been seriously wounded in Iraq. But he was the guy I thought of. And we don't have many Purple Heart recipients in town. So I wanted to expand it out. And that's really all. I want to do everything that Jeff said. I wanted to address the things that Bob May had in the bottom half or wherever it was in his email, because he had 2 things in there as well. All I would like to do is add a sign below the other one. The Veteran Services Officer would do that. She's more than able, willing, ready, and able to do that, to basically expand that. I see this as 2 different issues, but I really think that it's, even if we didn't do the veterans sign below it, it then sparked the discussion about the ADA thing. So blessings in disguise, right, Terry?
There you go. And, I think we all need to hold each other to a higher standard, whether we're held to a higher standard, but people communicating with us should step up their own game. And if there's any levity in the situation, it dawned on me after our conversation, I felt I needed to protect a 26-year veteran with a bronze medal. Like, what could, we are Templeton tough, but we're not bullies.
Right. Agreed. The chat line is strangely quiet, just to let you know. So, action relating to veterans parking spot designation. What do you want to do with this, board? It would be self-serving if I made the motion.
Mr. Chairman.
So, go ahead, Tim. Sorry.
Yes, Tim.
Yeah, before we move on, can we also expand this to the spot over at the school? And bring it in?
Yeah, I would absolutely do the same thing. I had forgotten that we did the designation only at Town Hall, and that's where we had Gardner News come in. But we would absolutely do that as well. And I think within their quote unquote fish pond down there, I think they would also see this as a welcome,
Yep. And the other thought to Mr. Bennett's comment, the Tractor Supply, even the one in Gardner, they have the spot designated, and I'm there frequently with our animals, but I have very seldom seen anybody park there.
Yeah.
And the same with the big box stores. If I go to Home Depot, Lowe's, I don't really see people utilizing them, but I think it's a wonderful thing that it's available.
Yeah. And, paying attention to exact law, about the plate. Jeff, I paid for my, the truck used to be mine, and I have a National Guard plate on it, and it cost me $70. What is a registration, every 2 years, or is it every year? I forget. 2 years. So every 2 years I got to pay $70 to keep that plate. So that is the consideration. But I also, I would look at it like if Sheila had a veteran coming in for an appointment, it's their spot. I mean, technically, yeah. Should they have the parking the license plate? Yeah. But I'd like to use the honor system, and really, so the veterans, the 800 and whether it's 400, 500, or 805, I want the veterans in the town to know that this space that we inherited, the Purple Heart space, is their space too. But that's what I would ask them.
And would we include the other to bring it up to code, the other parking spots too in the motion? So.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty out of this action. We're not asking to do that, but we're bringing it to the front burner to say we definitely need to make sure. I think priority wise, which one comes first? We should already be working on the ADA, the handicap spaces. We should be working on that. It doesn't have to be one before the other. If we give Sheila the go this evening for those 2 spots, I would propose the 2 spots for the signs to be placed under the Purple Heart. She can act on that, and we're already working on the handicap parking as well. So simultaneous, concurrent.
Somebody would have to reframe the motion then?
Yeah, I mean, it would be Purple Heart parking spot at Town Hall and Narragansett High School.
and to upgrade the handicap or to bring up to code.
I would not include that in this motion. Bob already knows that we have the work. We don't need to give him a motion to do that, correct? We already know that we have to come in compliance.
Mr. Chairman, like Adam was explaining earlier, I would wait for that report because they studied each building and whether, the public has to have access, no public. They took everything under consideration, indoors, outdoors. So I would like to see that report, but yes, we still plan on updating and bringing those handicap spots to code, so.
Yep.
Bob, do we need to wait for the report on the veterans too?
No, I don't know. I wasn't here, but if they promise that spot that it is in now or not, like I said, that would be shifting down. If when I go to do the handicap, it'd be shifting down one. I don't know if that's going to create a problem, but.
Do you think it would create a problem by shifting it down one?
No, not unless there was some minutes in the meeting that this one is designated. It's still going to be designated, but it's going to be moved down one.
Yeah. That would be a future. Yeah. What I'm trying to do tonight is just add the veteran sign underneath the.
Yeah, I would just go with the add-on to the existing sign you have now, and down the road we might replace the post and bring it down a little lower so it looks better.
Okay. What do you think, team?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Terry.
I move to designate the 2 parking spots concurrently at the town office and at the high school. Is that the correct? Designated as the Purple Heart parking spots at Town Hall and the high school to also be designated as veterans parking spots.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Holly.
I just wanted to mention, I believe when John originally did these, that he worked with Narragansett separately because it's a regional district. I don't believe the board can vote to put it there. I think it might be a school committee decision.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, let's, good point. If you would like to
Amend the motion to notify the school.
If you resecond it.
To amend the motion would we notify the request to the school committee?
I would work with Dr. Casavan to let him know what we're doing, and I'd ask him if he would like to concurrently bring it to his board to ask to do it. Sheila would also be she would be the provider. She would provide the signs, so we're not asking them to expend any dollars. Just allow that space to be designated Purple Heart and veterans.
So would we move to designate you as the
I would just talk with them. It would the action would be generated from Dr. Casavan.
So I rescind the previous motion and just move to designate the parking spot currently designated as the Purple Heart parking spot at Town Hall to also be designated as veterans parking spot.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. The motion was amended. Tim, do you resecond?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any further discussion? Thank you very much, Holly, for that clarification.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Tim.
as the liaison to the school committee, I will make that notification to Dr. Casavan.
That sounds fantastic. Thank you, Tim. Okay, hearing no further discussion on the motion to designate the parking spot currently known as the Purple Heart parking spot at Town Hall to also be designated as a veterans parking spot with signage. How do you vote? Tim?
Yes.
Jeff?
I'm a veteran. This benefits the veterans. Experience tells me abstain.
Terry?
Yes.
I vote yes. Okay, thank you. All right, the next item is action related to the library roof and associated work. Adam, if you could walk through that. I am ready to show any and all pictures. I think most of the packet is the plethora of interesting things that we have found.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if you can get those up on the screen.
Yep. Stand by.
The board recently increased the contingency at their meeting by amending a vote to 20%. Since then, we found out some other issues with the building, obviously with an older roof and other work that needs to get done. You could see the discovery of the second roofing system. There is a lot of other areas. We're talking about insulation. I actually had to look at, because we only had a contingency of so much, so I had to only work within that contingency, and I did share with the library team that I would have to go back to the select board to increase this to 35%. I don't believe we're going to go up to 35%, but I also want this project to be done correctly. As you can see, I remember when Holly saw that picture in the office, she said, "What road is that?" I said, "No, that's the library roof." But with all these photos, you could actually see that we got to make sure that this gets done. Like I said, this is coming out of the library gift fund. I think we have a pretty good group of folks working on this. People in town can see the project coming together. And that's all I really have. Jackie or Bob, if they want to add anything else, I would Jackie's has been pointing out a couple other issues she found as well. Jackie, did you want to speak a little bit about those?
Yeah, just in looking at the outside today, just a couple of uneven spots with the shingles and the copper valley, but I sent off some photos and an email with some questions to Justin, who's the project manager, and he got right back to me. The work's not finished yet. It's still awaiting the final work. So I think seems like it's going along really great. I'm sorry for all the change orders, but like Adam said, it was to be expected with an older building.
Jackie, the picture that's on the screen right now, is that actually new roofing right there? Is that new rubber?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I believe that's one of the skylights, but I'm not sure if that's new or old.
That's where the skylight got replaced.
Okay.
I did stop by the library today as well, and those skylights are looking pretty nice that have already been put in, but they still need to finish everything up and do some final touches to them. And they still have that hole right there that we see up on the screen.
Yeah,
So we're getting to
be securing that, Adam. The skylight on the interior, we will be taking care of because it's going to be so minute. And we'll take care of it, and it'll look good until we do interior work.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
It's just a good example for people that understand construction or building. It's like digging in the street. You don't know what you're going to find until you open it up. You can't expose hidden treasures until you open it up, and this is what happens. You run into all these contingencies. So all you can do is estimate and guesstimate on what you could run into, but it could worsen from that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob came into the office and he was stressing about it, and I spoke with Jackie as well. So we were basically right up to the point of the limit with everything going on. So with that, I think we could, once the board approves all this, we can put the PCOs to rest, get the project done, and I think the town would be happy to see a great final product there. Once again, all paid for by library gift funds of the Northford's gift.
Okay. All right, so like the bottom line up front, it continues to find some major issues that just were not forecast, and we need to increase the contingency fund for it. And you need the authorization from the board with specific figures in order to do that.
That is correct, because this is a town building and it has to go through this process, and then you have the prevailing wage and all these other requirements, because it needs to meet all these procurement well, we already went through the procurement, but then the prevailing wage, which is on top of the work and everything else in the specifications. That's why you see a lot of these change orders. They weren't exactly to the architect. Like, I was talking to the architect. He's actually pretty funny, because I said, you know, do you know about the second roof? He's like, I wish I had x-ray vision. So we did have a conversation, and I believe you'll see a fabulous final product there.
Okay. I'm going to put the motion out there so we have some of the figures out for discussion. I move to further amend our vote of September 9th, 2020, quote, authorizing the town administrator to execute an award for a contract for the roof replacement and associated work project at Boynton Public Library to La Rochelle Construction Incorporated of South Hadley, Massachusetts, in the amount of $56,917, and to further authorize the town administrator to execute such change orders as are deemed to be in the best interests of the town, not to exceed $5,750, end quote. To change the amount from $56,917 to $56,444, and to add $19,755 in order to provide for a contingency. And further, to authorize the town administrator to execute such change orders as are deemed in the best interest of the town within the total amount of $76,199.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further questions or clarifications?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
I would just emphasize again that, you know, the library being an old building, the town has historically been lax in taking care of their buildings. That's why down the road it usually gets pricey to fix them. But again, people should understand the real value of that little building. It's what's inside it. And I don't mean Jackie and the people that work there, but the access that it gives townspeople. You get a library card, you can get books, reference material, information from all over the state. I mean, law libraries, university libraries, other libraries, you can get on the list to get, you know, new books coming out. Instead of going and spending $30-40 for a book, you can get on the list. It comes in, you can read it, and it goes back. So again, this is, it does look like it's turned into a cluster, but as Bob says, when you remodel, you're not going to know until you open up the walls, and you usually get all kinds of surprises with the age of that building. But that little institution is a very valuable asset to the community. So this is a very worthwhile project.
Agreed, Jeff. Any further discussion?
I concur.
Okay.
And so much more today with technology, and except for COVID, there were puzzles up there, and it was definitely it's social infrastructure for a community.
Yep.
And we do miss prime time.
Okay, on the motion to amend our vote of September 9th, increasing the contingency fund to add $19,755 in the total amount of $76,199, and for the town administrator to change to administer such change orders. How do you vote, Tim?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Holly, that was unanimous. Great, thank you. And let's see, our next item, I do see that town administrator from Hubbardston has joined us. Hi, Ryan. We've got one more thing before the Hubbardston IMA discussion. Item H, as in hotel, action relating to Scout Hall renovation / winterization. Adam, if you could just give us the cliff notes on the memo that you sent to the board that's in our packet.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a memorandum I put together for the folks in town watching and for the board. The chair of the board and I recently took a tour of the building after Bob let us know and informed us of the furnace being in tough shape. The DPW director, Bob Sozik, was here tonight. Believes this would cost roughly $6,000 to $7,000, and we are here to really just put that information out there, and also Bob to give an update on where we're at with the rough estimates. TCTV wasn't a part of that, but that's Bob coming up with his rough estimates there, as well as Jackie coming in. She also sent a revised report of the proposed uses. I know the board was looking for a report from the community services director a while back, but unfortunately Jackie got hit with the impacts of COVID with the food pantry and was focusing quite a bit of her time with that. She has since provided the board with a copy of those proposed uses that the board wanted, and Bob's here as well to talk. Mr. Chairman, I was thinking maybe, I know we were both there, we took a tour of the building, if we could share the video just so everybody can see. Bob's already aware of the building, but for the rest of the board members and people here that haven't been in the building.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's good to see the video of it. Stand by. All right, everyone sees the 135, or someone just make sure you see 135 on your screen. Okay. That's the main area. I'm going to take a left, go over to the bathroom. Right down to the plumbing, right down to the floor. This is the stairway to the cellar. Handicap ramp on the outside going to the parking lot, side access door. My favorite part, the single heating duct. And that's like a kitchen sink or countertop area. Great. So we thought, Adam thought it would be beneficial for all of you to get a good understanding of where we are with that building. And what, Adam, I believe you're coming to us tonight, not only to give us some updates on the estimates or otherwise, but like, what do we want to do in the short term? Because we've got winter coming up. We've got a boiler or a furnace that, quote unquote, is in bad shape. Or what do we want to do proceeding with the CPC funds that we have tagged to that? And further, have a discussion with the board members on their thoughts. I can tell the board before I give the floor over to Bob, I would like, I use this term minimally operational or operationally available. I want this building to get it across a finish line for us to be able to use it, even if it looks generically like it does right now, without any of the specific modifications for TCTV's use, furniture, or anything else. I want to get that building in a place where you walk in and say, oh, we could have a meeting here, or we could use this as a space, because right now, as you saw from the video, you're not using it for anything. There's no plumbing, there's no power. You know, it has, you know, you can tell that there is some work in there, but it's just, it's not available. So I would like to figure out a way to make this minimally available before we get it into the phase after that, which would be to expand the use for what we all want to do with it, which I think we're, you know, as we're steering this battleship, we're slowly turning it towards community use, and really with an eye on the original purpose for that gift. So that's what I had to say about it. Bob, do you want to give us an update on where we think we are work-wise?
Work-wise, is a good video on the Scouts Hall, but there was 3 major areas down cellar that we did some foundation repair to. That was pretty extensive and pretty much cleaned and redid the French drain. The bricks that were down there, you could actually touch them with your hand and watch them move back and forth. So I always start with the foundation and the roof. Then we moved into upstairs, the main room and foyer and bathroom. The price sheet that you have, the stuff listed, that was actuals back then of July 2019. I'm sure they're not the same now. But where we left off, the first step we decided to do, I had the furnaces throughout the town cleaned, serviced, and inspected. Unfortunately, the firebox area in the one in Scouts Hall has some cracking, and I'm still waiting to hear from Peterson Oil on if it's going to be repairable or not. When I spoke to the tech, he didn't sound too promising. So I've been trying to reach out to find out about that. Then we move into, like I explained to you, Mr. Chairman, a few weeks ago, covering the lower part of the wall, door jambs and window casings. That would be the next step to do. And then the electrician that was in there is almost like piecemeal. All the wiring's run, stuff up in the attic, crawl space. I believe it was Barron. And this was his figure to finalize the tie-ins of the lights and ceiling fans if we wanted to add them, switches, outlets, all that stuff after that step 1 was done. And then we would move into redoing the floors. We got the foyer, which was originally talked about keeping it wood, maybe sanding it, refinishing it, along with the main hall. The quote I got for these, the 9,000 is for all 3 floors. The guy I got the quote from said the foyer, once you walk in, he said those boards were too warped for his floor machine. He didn't want to put his floor machine and try to sand them out. So he suggested going with a inlay, a 1/2 inch, and then putting the flooring on top of it, as well as the bathroom, because you don't want wood floors in a bathroom, sanitizing wise.
Right.
And then the kitchen and bath cabinets. I actually think that it all depends what you townspeople and folks decide to do with the bill. And this was a price of a lot of cabinetry and counter. Depending on what you do with it, I feel you could cut on that price a little bit.
My thoughts exactly, Bob.
And the plumber, he's got to, if you put a sink over in that back corner, you got to hook that up. Piping's there, reconnect the vent pipe, and tie in the sink and the toiletry in the bathroom, and that's about $2,500. So with all that said being done, it brings you to that 55.2 back then. If you cut that number 4, the kitchen and bath cabinets, you probably might be able to get enough out of that to put a furnace in it and still be all right with your monies.
So, Bob, what's your recommend? Oh, go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry.
Yes, I was just going to say, I'm looking at the last expenditure report for dated November 17th, 2020. It shows a total of $61,140 available for Scout Hall as previously voted. So
Jeff,
if you subtract that 51,200, you're going to be short on the furnace. So I think Bob is right. We should, the kitchen and bath cabinets, that's house money.
I would definitely reduce that number. I'd
We
work.
change that. Money-wise, we would be okay.
Yep.
Even if you just cut that number in half with the existing funding that we have, but that's the 23,000 for some cabinets. That just puts you over the cliff where you got to find some more money. If you cut that, then the 61 that we have would cover the furnace plus all the other work.
that's the way I was looking at it, Jeff.
Do they have to be brand new, or could we go to Restore? The Restore down,
Well, depends what you want to do. You can go to that. There's a place in Leominster. I forget the name of it. They get cabinetry there all the time. You can buy it at a decent price and have somebody put it up. They have new stuff, used stuff. Something Humanity or something. It's a pretty neat store if you've never been into it.
down the line, nothing that pricey right away, or not, I agree, we need to have priorities.
Well, I believe it all can be done. You just got to rethink your cabinets and counter space. Not be is what the intentional. This was set up back when they were trying to put a plan together before this all went south. So that can be redesigned. I think you're going to save enough. I think you could take probably 10 grand off that 23 without a problem.
Yeah, Jackie, what I was thinking is to not go bananas in that back left corner, and have a sink, have the ability to not make Thanksgiving dinner in the corner, but be able to bring food in and clean up from an event or otherwise. So I agree with all of the comments where we could actually reduce number 4, therefore come in under or at budget and still be able to take care of some of the other critical HVAC stuff.
Would it have to be ServSafe compliant, where you have to have a separate sink for hand washing?
Well, I don't know if that, no, I don't think so. Because you're not preparing meals for, you have your hand washing within your bathroom.
Okay.
Signs and stuff.
It's mainly if somebody brought some goodies in, and you're washing dishes and
Yep.
Making a pot of coffee. You're not going to have a wedding banquet there or anything.
Right. So, other thoughts, but I'd love to be able to move forward. Again, I use the word minimally available. But what we have right on the front burner right now is winter. So for the vote this evening, Adam and Bob, you need the board to be able to say, yep, let's winterize it, and then move forward with an action plan.
So, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Souza came in and was chatting me about this when he first pointed out the furnace issue, and then that's when we made the decision to go over there and take a tour. I've been there before, but that's the decision that the board that I'm seeking is whether we want to winterize the building or not. I know Bob's going into winter operations soon. With that, I will give Bob, if you wanted to come in here and mention your thoughts and how you kind of approached me about it.
Winterize it, or can you proceed with work?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what your all goals are, but if you're gonna start working on the building in short time, I'd say leave it the way it is. If it's gonna be some time, you're just wasting time, energy, and fuel.
Right. I would like to get this building going. We have the money, as Jeff had said, we have the money. It's town property, it's town facility. I'd like to get it to a point where it's not, we're not wasting money on oil or otherwise, being a question. I'd like to move forward with it, but I'd like to move because it's such a sensitive subject within the community. I want to make sure that the board is pretty much. I'd like to see 100% aligned is to say, you know what, let's pump the brakes and winterize it. And as we had promised, we're going to have like a more formal report from Jackie's perspective. I'm all right with that too, but I'm really leaning towards let's get this thing in a minimum operational condition as soon as we can, if the funds are available.
So you're saying start with the furnace instead of winterize?
Well, I would do like I did the library, get my 3 quotes. The gentleman from the Green Communities, they did look at that building as well, but I don't think you're going to see a big turnaround on too much happening from that over there because of its condition for one, and it has a handicap ramp already. I don't think you're going to see too much required over there from them, but it'd be nice to see the report. But get the price on the furnace, do what we did at the library, 3 quotes, and get it done and try to save money much as possible, because remember this was 2019, so I'm expecting increase on every one of these phases. So I'm hoping to generate enough money off number 4 to take care of the furnace as well as making the adjustments on any increases. Pretty much starting over.
But I also want to add too, because this project will require us to go out to procurement. If Bob were to do, let's say, the furnace, well, you would have to include all the work when you proceed forward on construction. And anything over $10,000, for the most part, requires us to advertise. Now, there's an option where it doesn't, but we have to go through ODS on anything, I believe, off the top of my head, under 50,000. But that's only option 2. I would prefer to advertise to be on the safe side. I think by winterizing, Bob's able to spend more time with his crews and then maybe address the flooring portion until we could go out to bid. I would just rather go on the side of caution, get all of our information together, get our plan, get us operationally stable, as the chairman alluded to, and then we can proceed with the final procurement document after Bob's completes his winter operations. That's my standpoint. I prefer doing projects on a step-by-step basis, and those are my thoughts. But I know Jackie was also here to present the proposed potential uses there.
Adam, if I may, like I said, the way I have them listed is the order you would have to do the work, excluding the furnace. Like you said, if you priced it out for all one job at 55.2 and you got all these covered, yeah, you would have to bid it out and do the invitation of bid. But if I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, if you do anything 10,000 or less, you can do it, but there's a time period you have to wait before you do the next phase.
I prefer just doing it the right way. because let's say you do one month and another next one, you're getting into a gray area there with the statute. Procurement wise, I would prefer to do it all out at bid and to the full dollar amount. I just brought up floors as an example of a portion that could be done because it's 9,000. But if you add anything else to that, you're talking on going out to a full, an advertising bid to be safe.
Does Monty Tech still do? Do they send out crews to do carpentry and stuff like that? Is that a possibility?
They do, but I don't know what their COVID circumstances are.
Okay.
They still do send, they still send out.
Okay, so I hear Adam and I hear Bob. They don't need any vote from us tonight to proceed with that list you see on your screen, but they do need a vote from us tonight in order to winterize and then delay work, as Adam had said, until they can get different updated quotes, any kind of bids that they need if it goes over $10,000. I'd like to move this along, or hear from any of the other board members on their feelings on this. Actually, I'm sorry. Adam, you also said that Jackie wanted to be able to brief this list tonight too, or did you want to do that, Jackie? Or
yeah, I don't want to belabor this because I understand your thoughts about getting the building to be minimally operational. There are obviously a lot of reasons why I think Scout Hall could be super useful for community service to engage with the public. But I can present that at another time, but I do have to say that I think we can all agree that in the past 8 months, TCTV has provided a critical role in this community as a media center, and they've done this without a home. And I think that the Scout Hall project would not only provide them with that much needed home, but to help to give them the space they need to grow into all they can be.
yeah, and I saw one of the schematics Adam had dredged up from the depths of his email, because we've had them for a while, and it's really not invasive. So it's not like TCTV comes in and takes over the space. Some of the things listed on the screen make you feel like it's invasive, but it really isn't. When I reviewed the sketch, and I apologize to the public for not having that sketch available, but really more to the point of being inclusive of it, I can say it's not as invasive to that building. It's not like you're going to build things into the structure that make it only TCTV usable, and it's really just about using this space and having everybody feel like a tenant. So thank you for that. Yeah, and I don't think we need to go into depth for some of this stuff when really right now we're just talking about the structure itself. Terry, Jeff, Tim?
I looked at all this and I can remember when the scouts were in there and when we had the Council on Aging and the little small office to the right as you came in the foyer, and then the urban sprawl that went on and how the scouts got displaced. So I have kind of a mixed vision on this, but I do also remember we had the small kitchenette area in the back where that plumbing was, and the dividing wall and the storage cabinets that have been removed off that big grate. And it's interesting to see the total floor space. And I know that we were not utilizing that space to the best of its ability, but looking at how we acquired it, we need to use it. We need to move it and forward for the community. And I'm trying to wrap my mind around how to best do that.
So winterization would basically pump the brakes and we would probably be discussing this in the spring about the punch list that Bob gave us this evening. Terry or Jeff?
Mr. Chair, since Bob has a lot of free time in the winter, I would like, it just seems that the more you kick the can and put it off, because this, I mean, it's not like you're going to put between 10 and 50,000, you're going to go get some quotes and have it all done like next week. This is government. It's going to take a while before you know it. It'll be spring. I think it would be prudent of us to get the quotes for the furnace, and as Bob said, some of this stuff is, you know, essentially almost 3 years old. So where they're going to come in, you don't know. I just think we should proceed and go after the numbers and see what the dollars are going to land at. I know the question is winterization, but maybe we should do both at once. Bob, I mean, you got time to invest in doing the furnace stuff and then, you know, getting heat in that building?
Yeah, I mean, it's getting the quotes. There's going to be a few phone calls in a matter of what type of furnace. If like the one for the library, I'm hoping to hear that it's in next week. So figure a few weeks turnaround times you get the quote and select the lowest bidder. It has access to get the furnace in there. We just have to keep it shoveled and accessible. And if you're going to start working on it, just replace the furnace, keep it at 50 degrees. And if you're going to send all this out to like a general contractor for bidding a 55.2, if that's the route you're going to take, or you're going to take a piece at a time, you'll have time to think about it and make a decision on which route you want to go.
You know, and something you had said one of our last meetings, Jeff, I completely agree with you. I had said flash to bang, but if people vote to appropriate money, we want to see that money used, not used 6 years from when they vote on it. So I'm definitely with you. If we need to vote to winterize, I want to make sure that we all understand that work is proceeding. I think that's really where you were on that, Jeff. If we're still proceeding on items, getting bids or doing what work we can while the building is technically winterized, that means that we're, you know, bringing it down to temperature and we're not expending any fuel, keeping it in that space. I would be fine with that. Otherwise, I'd like to proceed. Does that change? Does that jive with what you were just saying, Jeff?
Yes, I just, you know, leaving a building empty and cold. We have started construction. I just think bad things happen.
Bob, can you winterize it and start some of or any of those jobs? Like,
Well, the furnace is right now, it's on today, set at 50 degrees. Like Jess said, we can reach out, get 3 quotes for it, meet the contractors, let them look at what we got, and let's start there. There's going to be a start. So now you're basically at the end of December. So you might as well just keep doing what you're doing and progress with the project instead of turning off for 2 months, because you basically January, February now. It really won't make much sense swapping the furnace out and winterizing it, like, and let it sit there. Then the mice are gonna get in it, and insects, and you're better off running it and not to run it short term.
All right, unless a board member makes a motion to winterize, I would say the biggest thing that you got consensus from us, or I think you got consensus, is number 4. We'd love to be able to trim that number down, and not put expensive cabinetry or otherwise, but use like a minimum set. Kind of the way that Tim was describing when he was in that building before. It was like a small kitchenette, but at this point, a sink and countertops to be able to, assist in brought in food. So I'll leave it open to the board. Unless I hear a motion within the next few seconds, we're going to move on. Mr. McLean has patiently been waiting. Okay, moving on. Adam, Bob, let's stay the course.
So I'll get the quotes and we'll go for the furnace, and we'll get back together.
Roger that. Okay, thanks. Excellent discussion tonight on that. Our next item this evening, we have Ryan McLean, the town administrator for Hubbardston, and that is action related to the Hubbardston the IMA, intermunicipal agreement. Ryan, how are you?
Doing great. How are you? Thanks for having me. Thanks to the board for having me as well.
Yep. So Adam, I'm going to let you and Ryan lead with that. I will share the on the screen the memorandum to the board on the Hubbardston IMA, but the floor is yours. Thank you.
So not too long ago, we went out and we advertised for the accountant position for Templeton, and we had a screening panel put together. And unfortunately, both the candidates that were recommended from that screening panel withdrew. And Ryan and I have since chatted. I believe the challenge of 2 municipalities and with the struggle to find an accountant contributed to this. And we're just looking at coming together with the possibility of mutually coming to a decision to terminate the agreement. Not sure if Ryan wants to add anything further. I shared this memorandum with him as well, and that's where we're pretty much at.
Sure. Thank you, Adam. I'm open to discussion, of course, from the board. Just one of the things we've learned recently is, especially going through the candidate process, is the difficulty in relaying what the position would be for the 2 communities with new candidates. And specifically, I'm talking about people who don't have prior municipal experience. So although we would love to get a candidate that has the type of municipal experience that Kelly has or previous accountants in our communities have had, we're just not seeing that in the town accountant world. And we're not the only community to go through this for sure. So if you add on the complexity of learning the position, which is doable if you have a strong finance team like you do and like we do, with sharing the 2 communities, I have my concerns about that, especially given the candidate's reaction to having to do 2 towns. So I think it's a good time to discuss the IMA and to see if it's still a right fit, or if we should go our separate ways and look for opportunities to regionalize our areas in the future.
Thanks, Ryan. And I know that the outgoing town administrator really tried to breathe life back into this, as I did as well. There are reasons for this IMA. It actually was touted during our Roselli audit last year. IMAs are good for communities, but also we have our people against this IMA within the community. I know it's been brought up in advisory committee meetings several times. So there's critics and proponents for it. I do agree with the assessments from not only your perspective, Ryan, from the Hubbardston side, but also we're in a unique position right now where our accountant has decided to move on. So this mature team that Roselli said, kudos, Templeton, this financial team that we had that was mature enough to be able to take on this agreement has now kind of shifted. The sand under our feet has shifted, and we're now having to find the candidates that I believe, Adam, Mike, we can talk about the type of the candidates and otherwise. We don't have somebody that has ever done this before, and that it becomes an impediment to our hiring process when we're saying, oh, by the way, you're also taking care of another town as well, and then all the consistencies to it. As I had said to you before, Ryan, I would love to be able to find ways for our communities to work together. It builds a better region, and I know you're a fan of that. But I have to concur that this may not be the right time for this IMA to be a viable option within our community. And so what we would be doing, what the recommendation that I'm hearing from both town administrators this evening, we would be exercising clause number 6 under the extension or termination of this agreement. For those watching this evening, all you need to do to see this agreement is go to the town's website and type in Hubbardston, and it's one of the first things that comes up, so you can inspect the document if you really weren't sure exactly what the agreement was in the first place. But like Adam was talking about, and I'd like to hear from the other members of the board on this, what Adam's talking about is it becomes we're in a difficult position right now, and the IMA that we have with Hubbardston it's a weight. It's pulling us down. And on top of that, the town administrator for Hubbardston, thank you, Ryan, for being here with us this evening, is also saying, yes, this would be a good time to terminate this agreement and then look for other opportunities in the future. I yield my time to Tim, Terry, and Jeff.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I rewatched the meeting back in May of 2019 when this was voted on. And some of the points made was it would be liked by the DOR, the Lieutenant Governor's Community Compact program, as well as building a relationship with the town of Hubbardston, possibly for other things down the road. And the intent said it would bring increased dollars to Templeton to have reliable accounting personnel. And as we've seen, these things often are good on paper. Some work better, I think, than others. And the DOR and the Lieutenant Governor and such may like this, but townspeople and the apparent limited employee group for town accounting, also treasurer collectors there, that's getting to be a thing hard to find, replace too. It doesn't work well. And in this case, it's a hindrance. Somebody said, sure, I'll work Templeton as accountant. And oh, by the way, you got to do Hubbardston too. Whoa, too much to jump into. So now this thing is hurting two towns because we're both looking for accounting, either an accountant employee or an accounting service. I think you may find the same issue with a CPA firm to provide accounting services to the town. Both towns going to be able to get one to work with both. I think there's going to be problems going forward, and the time is to sever this. It worked out good for Hubbardston, so-so for Templeton, but it's one of those things that, as we're seeing, moving forward, it's not going to work for either town, because now there's two towns that are trying to find an accountant, and we're both going to be vying for the same thing. It's hard to find somebody to work for one town, never mind take on two towns. So it is a good time to sever this. Maybe down the road, it works again, or we do something else. But this IMA is holding back two towns. So I think the thing to do is to sever it. And, we tried, and it did work for a while. But again, now we have two towns being held back by this agreement that on paper looks great and the state likes, but they like to stick the towns with a lot of stuff. So I just think it is the time to sever this.
Thank you, Jeff.
I don't know how you guys do speaking. Do I raise my hand?
Go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry.
So, I'd just like to, in many ways, agree with Jeff. And one of the things that was beneficial for our towns with this IMA, if we do choose to sever it, was building a relationship between the two communities. So we should have, with a shared border, with the size of your town and the size of Hubbardston, some natural relationships that were able to be developed through this. Our finance teams had to work together. The state saw us as regional partners, as you mentioned. That a lot of good came from the agreement. I think one of the difficulties you're facing is having myself and Adam be newer town administrators with, in Hubbardston, newer financial teams. The strength of the accountant was important. But we in Hubbardston were able to go from what was a CPA service, as you mentioned, to an accountant that was able to advance our finance team to the point where we can now absorb somebody. And on the flip side, I think Templeton now can see, the need for full-time accounting services and what that's going to entail. And I can say that the region in general is not a strong understanding of what the cost is for a full-time accountant or anyone in finance in general, because we've been underpaying for years. But I see the trend in this area, especially with towns our size and the lack of accountant pools, going to regionalized finance centers at some point, probably a decade away or so. But given the lack of municipal employees, we're all going to be sharing at some point. So it was a great experience. I think we learned from it. I think it's good to know when to fold, but I think we learned a lot, and I really appreciate your staff's support for us. We didn't always get all the hours that we needed, but we certainly got the courtesy and the effort when it was necessary, and that was important to us.
Thanks, Ryan, and thanks for the Kenny Rogers reference there. It did not go unnoticed.
It was accidental.
One of my favorites. One of my favorites.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion, and we can still have discussion. But I move to execute Section 6 of the May 2019 intermunicipal agreement with Hubbardston and terminate said agreement prior to the 6-month announcement period, and for the town administrator to provide final support in accordance with Section 6.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the motion to terminate the IMA with Hubbardston?
Just really for clarification purposes, so we're looking at end date of December 30th.
So the provision, I'm going to go ahead and And I apologize. Not only you didn't have to go to the website to find it. I forgot.
Well, I just want just so the public knows.
Yeah, I forgot the entire IMA was actually in the packet. But when I say the timing, we had to, in order for the fiscal year conclusion of this, we had to be able to make this before December 30th. So we're doing that on November 23rd. But in section 6, the language is either party may terminate this agreement. So it talks to the time provided the termination by either party. The end user may request the provider to provide services on an hourly per diem basis for 2 additional months to prepare year-end closing reports and documentation for the annual audit. That's why I said to authorize the town administrator to finalize this agreement in accordance with section 6. So if you and Ryan still have business to conclude within that time period, you've got the board's authorization to execute within the agreement. Does that make sense to both Ryan and Adam? Why I would include that in the motion? Or Adam, does section 6 satisfy the time that you just asked about?
Well, I mean, I just kind of want to talk that way because Ryan will have to go to his board because it's an agreement based on both boards. So if we're looking at an end date of December 30 and we mutually agree upon that date, I think it's just a little bit easier just to perhaps have something where we have a written agreement that we would both.
It's my thought that it proceeds. So either party may terminate this agreement at any time upon no less than 6 months of notice preceding the commencement of a fiscal year. For example, by December 30th, 2020, to provide notice to terminate the provision of services effective 1 July. So when we vote on this tonight, we're giving notice of our intent to terminate the agreement. Am I thinking of it wrong, or are we coming up with a date?
I don't think you're thinking of it wrong. The issue is, let's say just Templeton or just Hubbardston wanted to get out of the agreement, then you have to give 6 months notice. If the two boards want to set a date to terminate and it's mutually agreeable by vote of both boards, right, you can do that. And I would say, we need to make sure each town is protected here. And I think we can do that, at the staff level. But the main point would be, you need to hire someone, we need to hire someone, and we need to be clear. So the sooner the better.
Yep. So I think this also dovetails into the notice of the town accountant. She gave her notice, and I believe it's all the way to the end of the year. Is it not, Adam? When's her notice is?
I thought it was the beginning of December.
Not the beginning, though. It's a little bit further.
Okay. Yeah, and she's still got time to take and otherwise. Thank you for that clarification. So both, if you're going to bring it back to your board, we're going to vote tonight to terminate, or we may vote to terminate. You'll bring it back. Hubbardston's select board will either or. And if we both, I guess I didn't have that in the motion for when we would do it. Is that all right that it's not in the motion, or should I amend the motion to say December 30th?
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Tim.
As I read this section 6, as long as we execute this by December 30th, that gives us the 6 months through the end of the current fiscal year to get us to the following July 1st, in this case, 2021. So I think we are meeting that intent. And I agree with the previous comments by both gentlemen that the towns have both benefited. Just because we're opting to terminate and sever this now doesn't mean that down the road and in the future we cannot revisit this again and reestablish such an agreement between the two communities.
Agreed, Tim.
Well said.
So Adam or Ryan, do I need to amend my motion to have a date, or is it sufficient that we agreed to terminate?
I mean, I would look at it like agreement to terminate subject to approval by the Hubbardston Select Board. I mean, if that's fine with Ryan, I'm not sure what he's looking for. I mean, he still has to go to his board, so.
Yep, if you give us the notice of intent, we'll discuss it on November 30th. And if we have to set a specific date, we can come back to for more formal vote. I think the intent is fine.
Okay.
I'm going to amend it. Okay. Holly, I will send this to you. I move to amend my previous motion and have it state, I move to execute Section 6 of the May 2019 IMA with Hubbardston and to terminate said agreement with the concurrence of the Hubbardston Select Board to terminate at a mutually agreeable date and for the town administrator to provide final support in accordance with Section 6.
So moved.
Motion?
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none on the motion to recommend termination executing Section 6 of the IMA with the 2019 IMA with Hubbardston. How do you vote, Tim?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That was unanimous. Thank you very much, Ryan, for being with us this evening. Like I said, looking forward to the future where we can find partnerships.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. And have a good night. I like the flags you guys all have. It's tremendous.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Good night, Ryan.
Be well.
All right, Holly, motion's coming over to you right now. And I'm looking to my agenda. We are up to item J as in Juliet, action related to fiscal year 22 revenue estimates.
We're getting there, Mr. Chairman.
Yep, we are.
We're moving along.
All right.
Yeah, this item, these revenue estimates we talked about at the workshop, I have this. I did make the change and took off the revenues for, if you scroll down to the account at Hubbardston, and I put that to 0 for fiscal year 22. You can see that. I made that change.
Yep, I see that.
Right there. So basically everything we already talked about at the workshop. And
your department heads are good. There wasn't any other, I know that they're under 4120. There was some discussion. There might have been a discrepancy. Are we good? Are we looking at a good document here?
this is for fiscal year 22, so that we're fine.
Okay. And
I mean, if there's any changes, that this could also be amended throughout the budget process anyways, Mr. Chairman.
yeah, and we have better data now on property tax. I know that, Jeff, what did they set the rate at? Is it 1611? Does that sound right? Okay. I'm sure that will come out from the assessor's office. For those watching at home, just pay attention to the assessor's webpage on Templeton MA, but the tax rate has been set. The split is 1-to-1, so it's an even, corporate and personal is set at the same. So it's 1611. Any questions on the draft revenue estimate sheet? If we vote, are we voting on this, on anything? with it tonight or to approve it? Oh,
Yes, you are
Okay.
voting on this tonight.
all right. So
The
it
only
becomes
thing,
it's a draft now. We're voting it in tonight.
that I think you asked a question, the debt exclusion,
Yes.
that one we're going to be monitoring because one of the bands comes due 2/26/21. So that one might be amended. But outside of that I see for the question you had earlier, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Are there any other questions from my fellow board members on the draft revenue estimate? Are you happy with it? And would you like to adopt it tonight? And to those watching on TCTV and on YouTube, sorry, sometimes I forget that I might cause some vertigo by rapidly scrolling through. I do try and think of that as I'm reviewing the documents. Hopefully you're following along with your own and you're not trying to read as I scroll through. Really, that's just to make sure that you know what we're talking about within the packet. But I do apologize for that. Air sickness bags, not included. I move to adopt the FY22 revenue estimates dated 11/17/2020 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Get these tools for our budget process. It's good. Well-oiled machine, Adam. And I did see on that the last page of the draft, it's you got a couple of subject there, subject to. So I understand that. Okay, on the motion to adopt the FY22 revenue estimates as presented, how do you vote, Tim?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Holly, that was unanimous. Okay, moving on in our agenda. Adam, the next thing that we have are the select board goals and work plan.
We discussed this as well at the workshop. I made some minor adjustments to it. And I think this gives us a good template to use as we move forward.
Okay. And for those watching the select board work plan, it's basically our chit sheet, our direction policy wise for what Adam is going to build his zero budget on, in cost estimates or otherwise. So Adam, when you said that you adjusted it, did you adjust it based on some of the things that we kind of already ticked off? I made some adjustments from the last time at the workshop. I believe one of them had something that chapter 30B surplus policy formalized. There's some date there. I took that out because it had ongoing on the fiscal years. Yep.
21 through 24. I believe we'll get to that soon. I already have some draft policies that I could bring to the board that I worked on when Carter was still here. Also, I included, I believe select board member Griffiths wanted to have bulk well testing start with a survey. I've included that in there as well.
Okay. Yeah, and some of these are like zero cost. Yeah, we got some good stuff in here. Okay, any questions, comments, concerns? Yes, Terry, go ahead.
I like the simplicity and the finish what you start, the conservation area at 4 Elm Street, Heroes Park. I mean, I think it's manageable.
Okay, I'd ask for a motion to adopt those goals.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
all right, I have a motion and a second to adopt the FY 21 through 24 select board goals updated 11/17 and as presented. Any other thoughts?
Just Adam's inspiration to keep it simple and finish what we started came from Mrs. Tainter, the woman who just lost her husband. So kudos to her and thanks to him.
Okay, if there's no other comments on the motion to adopt the select board goals as presented, how do you vote, Tim?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Holly, that was unanimous. Next item on our agenda for this evening is the FY 22 countdown calendar. Adam, I did see that you made the adjustment by keeping the dates in there, so thank you for that. Otherwise, I don't think I'll actually share that on the screen as well.
I made the adjustment you suggested, Mr. Chairman, and Select Board Member Bennett's suggestion on this countdown.
Okay. And the convention of committees, I'm not sure if it said virtual before, but December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day, we've got convention of the committees that's virtual on Zoom. We'll have some more guidance. Well, the memo already went out for that, but I think you wanted to change that to virtual from the last time. So thank you for that as well.
You're welcome.
All right, team. Countdown calendar.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Tim.
I move to adopt the countdown calendar to 2021 annual town meeting calendar as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Terry. Any further discussion? Hearing none. On the motion to adopt the countdown to 2021 annual town meeting calendar as presented, how do you vote, Tim?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Next item is our last new business item is the comparison communities. Adam, any change from the last?
That's when I went to the workshop.
Okay, showing it on the screen, we've got Ashburnham, Athol, Ayr, Dudley, Monson, Montague, Orange, Shirley, Townsend, and Winchester. And the date is updated there for the 23rd of December. Thank you.
You're gonna have a lot of paperwork to sign, Mr. Chairman. All those licenses and all these other
Look forward to it.
documents.
I'll bring my signing pen.
And the rest of the board members too, with all those licenses.
Looking for a motion to adopt the FY 22 comparison communities.
So moved.
Second.
Great. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Tim. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none on the motion to adopt the FY 22 comparison communities as presented. How do you vote, Tim?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thanks again, team. Okay, I show no old business. You know, it's interesting on the selectmen's goals, and you see one of the zero cost ones. I've said for our team that I want to come up with a tracker. Like last week, Jeff had several things in the board and staff member comments. I want to like actualize those things. So when Jeff brings up something, or Terry brings up something, or Julie or Tim, I want to make sure, or we actually wind up having a request from time to time during the public comment. We'll have people come before the board and ask for us to take a look at something. These items, I want to make sure that we put on as old business. So when we get to this part, it's not, you know, I can't even remember the last time we had something on there. But that's exactly where this tracker that I would like to, I have. I'd actually like to review it with Jeff, because I think he and I had talked mostly about it. But like the things where the conduct of town meeting, these things that are brought to the board, I want to be able to review them if they have action or otherwise. So when we say old business, we can actually go through and say, where do we stand with this or otherwise, especially if we as select board members grab onto certain things and want to be able to do more research on that. So in the future, that's where I expect that that tracker to be addressed, is under old business. I have spoke a lot tonight. I'm going to give my voice a rest. I have nothing for the board or for the group or any other announcements. So I yield all my time back to Tim, Jeff, and Terry. Any comments from the board or staff this evening?
I would just like to throw out a thank you to the folks who put together the Halloween things. It was a pleasure to see the trailer show up and the trees today up the town common for the Christmas tree sales. And we're moving in the right direction, although I don't think we're out of the woods yet on the COVID. So, you know, maintain the distance, wash the hands, sanitize, wear the masks. I know we're all getting tired of hearing it, but that's how we're going to keep it down. One of the greatest analogies that I heard that I will share with everybody, you know, everybody's complaining, well, it's only a 1% mortality rate. Okay, let me give you a bowl of 100 jelly beans. One of them is deadly poison. It's going to kill you in the next 30 seconds. And the other 99 are okay. Are you interested in grabbing any of the jelly beans out of the bowl? Just something to think about.
Thanks, Tim. Jeff or Terry?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please.
I'll eat all the jelly beans. I'm a sucker for sweets. If I'm going to go fat and happy, sugar and preservatives. On this, on the parking thing and the emails that came in, and I did read them. I don't take that as someone being a bully or being inconsiderate or any of that. It's frustration, I think, with some actions that the Board of Selectmen has taken, pushed forward, present board, past board, in recent history, the last 5 years. I've had something done, you know, I've had things done, you know, somebody went and grabbed, they had to go in the basement and got in the district courthouse, and they posted my my court record from the 70s at the American Legion. I didn't take that bad. I just went out and told everybody what I did and the circumstances leading up to it and what I had done since then. So it's, I think it's frustration. I think it's people tired of stuff, and not everybody is a William F. Buckley Jr. communicator. some people are direct. I do more than my share of popping off direct. Sometimes I just hit the mouth button before I hit the brain button. I welcome comments, good, bad, the way they come across. It really doesn't matter. I get the gist of it. That, to me, that's part of being a selectman. People don't always have to be nice to me, but I try to be nice and cordial back to them. Not always. Sometimes the emotion takes over, or my strong feelings on things, and I'll just let it rip. Engaging elected officials and the residents, I don't think is never a bad thing. We're not always going to agree. We're not always going to come across, nice, mismanners, things like that. And I'll take the arguments and the bad words and everything if they would pack town meeting. I'd like to see the gym filled, the cafeteria filled, the auditorium filled. So I like engagement rather than people just sitting there saying nothing. I just kind of let it slide. I understand how some people take things. We could all do things better, but I personally, as a selectman, I like the engagement. If somebody lets me know how they really feel, I like that better than if they smile at me and then when I turn around, they flip me the bird or something. Having said that, this Thursday's Thanksgiving. I don't know what everybody's doing. I know what the state is putting out. I know what some boards of health are putting out. Me and the bear, no, we don't share masks. We don't wash paws and hands. And we're sharing a rib roast and a couple of adult beverages. And I wish everybody a good Thanksgiving, whatever you're doing, wherever you're going. I wish you well. And we'll see you on the flip side.
I can just add to that. I was an elected official myself, and I know the challenge being in that role, and it's certainly something where sometimes it gets frustrating, and sometimes it's very rewarding. But moving forward, I think as long as we stay cognizant of when we mention something and not mentioning a particular person's name, or just to be on the side of safety, I think that would be a good measure. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Tim. For me, I just wanted to mention that we had a business changeover, so congratulations to the new owners of Valley Florist and the ribbon cutting ceremony. And daily, when I think of my community, there's a song lately by Carrie Job called The Blessing. And the first couple I won't say the whole song, but the first couple sentences, and this is for anybody, for all denominations, however you want to take it. It's not specific to one set of thinking or beliefs. The Lord bless you and keep you, be gracious to you, make his face shine upon you, and give you peace and a happy Thanksgiving. And when I think of my community every day, the song goes on to the 1,000th generation, and that's my hope, dream, and wish for my community.
Thank you, Terry. Polly or Adam?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay. Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving. Okay, that brings us to the close of the meeting. We are going to go into executive session. We are not likely to come back to vote. We will not be coming back to vote. We will be coming back out to close the meeting, but not out to vote. I will say, Happy Thanksgiving. Our next meeting is a workshop on December 2nd. Our next business meeting is December 9th. And a reminder, the All Boards Convention virtual is on December 7th. So at this time, I would make a motion to enter into executive session in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, subsection 21A2, that is negotiation with non-union personnel, and 21A3 strategy having to do with collective bargaining.
Mr. Chairman, I think we only need 21A3.
Okay. I amend to only include 21A3.
Mike, is that correct, Nick?
Correct.
So moved.
Unless there's something else I'm not aware of, Adam, but
No.
yeah.
I have a motion.
So moved.
Right. I have a motion. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. On the motion to enter into executive session in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, subsection 21A3. How do you vote, Tim?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Kerry?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. And we're going into a breakout room. We will be coming back to this room only to close the public meeting, but no vote is scheduled.
You stated the reason though, right?
I did. Subsection 21A3 strategy, collective bargaining with
I
certain.
believe you did. Okay, never mind. Okay, just making sure.
Yep. All right. This is where I ask TCTV to make me a host. That way I can open up the room. Oh,
There it is.
nope, they did it for us. I'm joining.